It was a sunny day, and I decided to go to the farmer's market in my town to buy some fresh vegetables for dinner. As I was walking through the market, I saw a woman yelling at one of the vendors. "I want a discount! I buy from you every week, and you should give me a better price," the woman screamed. The vendor looked uncomfortable and tried to explain that the prices were already fair, but the woman wasn't having it. I rolled my eyes and continued walking, thinking it was just another entitled person trying to get their way. As I walked past the woman, I noticed she was wearing an expensive outfit and carrying designer bags. I couldn't help but think that she didn't really need a discount. I decided to keep an eye on her, just in case. A few minutes later, I saw her approach another vendor and demand a discount. This time, the vendor refused and the woman started yelling again. I walked over to the vendor and asked if he needed help. "Thank you, but I think I can handle it," the vendor said, looking nervous. I nodded and walked away, but I continued to watch the woman. She was getting more and more aggressive with each vendor she spoke to. Finally, she approached a young girl who was selling homemade jam. "I want a discount, and I want it now," the woman said, pointing her finger at the girl. The girl looked scared and started to back away, but the woman grabbed one of her jars of jam and started to walk away. "Hey, you can't just take that," the girl protested. The woman turned around and smirked. "Watch me," she said before walking away. I couldn't believe what I had just witnessed. I quickly walked over to the girl and asked if she was okay. She was shaking and told me that the woman had taken one of her best-selling jams. "That woman is crazy. She comes here every week and always causes trouble," the girl said. I decided to take action. I walked over to the woman and tapped her on the shoulder. "Excuse me, but you can't just take things without paying for them," I said. The woman turned around and glared at me. "Mind your own business," she spat. "Well, it is my business when you're stealing from a young girl who's just trying to make an honest living," I said, trying to stay calm. The woman laughed. "Oh, please, like she's going to miss one jar of jam. She probably makes them for pennies anyway." I was getting angry now. "That's not the point. You're being rude and entitled, and it's not okay." The woman sneered at me. "You're just jealous that I can afford to buy whatever I want?" I couldn't believe the audacity of this woman. "Actually, I feel sorry for you. You're so unhappy with yourself that you have to belittle others to feel better," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. The woman's face turned red with anger. "How dare you speak to me like that? I demand that you apologize right now." I stood my ground. "I won't apologize for speaking the truth, and I suggest you give that jar of jam back to the girl before I call the police." The woman hesitated for a moment before shoving the jar of jam back into my hands. "Fine, take it. I don't want it anyway." She stormed off, but not before turning back to shout a few choice insults at me. I shrugged it off and walked back over to the girl. "Here you go," I said, handing her the jar of jam. "Thank you so much. You didn't have to do that," the girl said, looking grateful. "I couldn't just stand by and watch her bully you like that." "Are you okay?" I asked. The girl nodded. "Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you again. You're a hero," she said with a smile. I blushed. "I don't know about that, but I'm glad I could help. Do you need any help packing up your stand?" The girl smiled. "That would be great. Thank you." As we packed up her stand, we chatted and got to know each other better. Her name was Emily, and she was a college student studying to be a chef. She had started selling her homemade jams to make some extra money. "I'm sorry that woman ruined your day," Emily said as we finished packing up. "Don't worry about it. It was worth it to see her leave empty-handed," I said with a laugh. We exchanged numbers and promised to keep in touch. As I walked away from the farmer's market, I couldn't help but feel proud of myself for standing up to the entitled woman. It wasn't easy, but it was the right thing to do. This may paint me in a bad light, but hey, I don't care that much. Just a note that this happened in Poland. I am living in a block of flats with slightly higher standards, meaning we have a gate and our own parking spaces, trash cans, camera system, and everything. I work as a programmer and remotely. I'm also single and I keep mostly to myself. I try to never harm anyone, not get into any drama, just live slowly and steadily alone, barely leaving home except doing groceries. So my neighbors know me as that homeowner that never causes any problems and is always helpful and polite. One time, I had to replace my current bed. It was old, dirty, and I just wanted something better. So I ordered a new bed and dismantled my old one, ready to be taken out. Once every 2 weeks, a truck comes in and checks through the neighborhood to take away all the big things set besides the trash containers. That day was tomorrow. Sadly, I live on floor 3, so taking my old bed alone would be just too hard for me alone. I asked my brother for help, but he couldn't have done it tomorrow, so he helped today. Now, before this, our block's terms of service say that you are not allowed to put out big trash except on the day the truck comes. So, not wanting to make any outburst, I asked my favorite neighbor for a favor if I could put it in his parking spot the day before because, well, I wouldn't be able to do it on the correct day. He gave me a thumbs up. Then I checked with another member of the housing cooperative board if it's fine, since the owner of the spot knows he also said it's okay for him. I moved on with the plan. My brother came in. We moved my old bed outside, occupied the spot, and called it a day. That's when Karen came in. She's around 50-plus years old from her looks. You know, the type that sits the whole day in the window and tries to find something to complain about. She got into my home and tried to explain that it's against our community rules, so I had to have it taken away right now. I, in exchange, tried to explain to her why I did that, how I got approval from people and whatnot. She was not having it. She threatened to call the police on me for littering if I didn't get it done today. I said, sure, okay, I guess I am technically in the wrong here, so I'll just comply. I called a private company to take away the bed today. I also specifically went to her home and told her it would be done today. She said it's fine. So, the truck arrives. They start taking away the bed. The police also arrive. Apparently, she already did call the police without waiting for me to do anything. I am livid and literally panicking, not because I was afraid of a fine or anything, but just because it was the first time in my life that someone did something hostile to me, even though I said I'd do what she wants. Turns out, the police see no problem with any of this. They don't even cite me anything. They just give me a handshake, pat my back, and leave. The lady that called the police looks out the window and yells, "Thank you, officers," with a grin. I am ever more upset at this point. I think to myself, you want to perfectly obey the law. Fine, I'll make sure you do. I got the community rules from the council and studied them thoroughly to find potential reasons to make her life hell. I see her taking out the trash. I clearly hear glass bottles in the bag. I look out the window and see that she's throwing it in the wrong container. I then called the community board. Bam! Your rent went up because you don't comply with our sorting garbage rules. Next day, I come back from groceries and I see her car. She parked a little over the line, so it's basically like taking up 2 spaces. I called the police. Bam! She gets a fine. She walks out her dog in our private space. As I watch her through the window, I see her dog pooping, but she doesn't scoop it up. Oh, did you just do that? I called the community board with a complaint? She came to me and wanted to apologize. Now, here's the part that makes me look bad. I said, no, I don't accept it. Why? Because I'll admit I am vindictive to people who try to create trouble for others without a very good reason. I told her, all I'm doing is making sure you are following the community rules. Is that wrong? She scoffed at me, said something rude, and went away. I've been doing that for like 3 months now. A month ago, she was kicked off the board for too many rules violations. Today, she moved out, but before she did, she made sure to put a bag of trash on my doorstep while I was away. Sad for her. She's stupid, and the trash contained a letter with her information on it, so I had the last laugh by reporting it to the police. I know, rules are rules. I was technically in the wrong first for breaking them. But the moment she went out of her way to enforce them and then screw me anyway, that's when the line was crossed. I have no shame for getting her out of here. I was just doing the right thing and ensuring that the rules are not broken. Not me. This happened to my sister-in-law. She's quite a lot younger than me and was working part-time in a chain shoe shop whilst studying. After graduating with a business degree, she was offered a job managing one of the shoe stores. This obviously seemed like a fantastic opportunity for her first role as a graduate. She was on a probationary period for 3 months, and after that, her salary would increase, although the probationary period could be extended. She hated it. The owner would give her instructions, and later that day, his girlfriend would come in and give her opposite instructions, then criticize her for the way she had worked and micromanage her until she did it her way. The girlfriend wasn't part of the business at all, but my sister-in-law didn't want to cause any issues, so didn't argue. However, it was causing her a lot of stress. I noticed she lost quite a bit of weight. It came to a bit of a head when she had spent a few hours sorting the filing out, then went to the shop to serve customers. When she went back to finish the filing, the girlfriend had gone through it all and messed it up, saying she'd organized it differently for her, wasting hours of my sister-in-law's time and causing her more work. My sister-in-law suspected they were going to extend her probationary period to screw her over, even though she was doing a great job despite being sabotaged and micromanaged. Her staff loved her, and sales were higher, so she started looking for another job. Surprise, they extended her probationary period, but she found a job paying more and 10 minutes from her flat. They wanted her to work as soon as possible, but she was sure she had to work her notice period, which was 6 weeks. She asked me to read her contract to see if I can confirm. The notice was indeed 6 weeks, except for staff on probation. Either party could terminate with 1 week's notice. My sister-in-law tells the owner that she's quitting and gives 1 week's notice. Owner is caught on the hop and can't find another manager that quickly. He tells her that the notice period is 6 weeks, to which she takes great delight in pointing out that her probationary period has been extended and the required notice is 1 week. She has been at the new job for quite a while now and is much happier. Edit. Lots of people saying you can quit when you want. I should have clarified that we're in the UK. Some of you have correctly sussed that out where contracts can be enforced. What could they do if she was contracted to a longer notice period and refused to work it? Many of us have rented or owned where we didn't have a personal driveway. While annoying, we accept the risk of difficult parking. Sometimes you end up in front of your place and sometimes down the street. For those in cities, you're glad if you're within the block. I live in an older suburban neighborhood, so off-street parking is not that bad, and you typically get to park in front of your house. We do have a Facebook group where we reach out with updates, missing pets, fun wildlife sightings, etc. I go on last night and there is a new post from this entitled man, asking how he can get a vehicle moved from the public street in front of his house so he can park there. I'm already thinking, okay, that's weird, but it got so much better when reading the comments. Turns out it was a construction vehicle because they are redoing the gas lines throughout the whole neighborhood. Reading other people's comments saying they have been taking 4 business days on each street. Really not that long to be complaining about, especially since he stated he parked only 2 houses down. It was his responses, though, that did it for me, and this particular one was my favorite. The post on his chat called entitled Man Out, saying if this is his biggest concern in life, then he has a problem. I mean, global warming, world hunger, school shootings, police abuse, corrupt politicians, big businesses. I could go on, but I didn't. I didn't for one main reason. Wanting to park in front of my house applies to me being a member of the neighborhood. The rest doesn't. Total facepalm moment of entitlement in his other rantings, thinking that when he bought his home, he bought the public street in front of his house for his parking use only. Hats off to the construction people. Those whose gas lines have been upgraded said it's significantly better and their usage ended up going down as it was more efficiently running. This entitled man can suck it, in my opinion. Update. It gets better. Entitled man reported my comment to the admins that the situation seemed entitled and the public road is open parking for anyone. He also reported everyone else who disagreed with him. I was notified that my use of the word entitled was borderline rude, so it was removed. Love my neighborhood overall, but we have so many entitled people. There are so many funny stories of people doing weird things.